Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 148th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. I know I'm a day late and a dollar short, but happy Halloween. Wanted to get this out sooner, but I got stuck in Kentucky on a business trip. And yeah, let's not talk about it. Today, we are doing a request for my boy Marlon Bellamy, 1996, The Craft, directed by Andrew Fleming, starring Fairuza Balk, Robin Tooney, Niv Campbell, and Rachel True. So, guys, do me a favor, like and subscribe for a guy, and let's get into The Craft. All right, The Craft. Well, this movie is actually my mom's favorite movie. And so I've seen this movie many times as a kid growing up, and rewatching it this time, it just hits hard. And I watched it last year too. I've seen it a bunch of times. So this movie I know pretty well. It's a classic 90s pre-Scream high school. Well, I don't know if I would call this a horror movie, but it's definitely a witchy movie, a goth movie, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if I'd call it a horror movie. It's not much horror in it, but the witchcraft is on full display. That's the thing going on here. But just like the 90s, it serves as a beautiful high school drama about a young woman moving to a new town, going to a new school, and making new friends. It just so happens these friends happen to be budding witches. And what I love about this movie is it's a time capsule piece because let's face it, high school in the 90s and the early 2000s was way different than high school now. It was so cliquey back in the day. Even at this private Catholic school that these girls are attending, you still got the jocks, the popular guys, the preppy girls, the outcast girls, all of that. You still got all that going on, even within the confinements of this religious school. And it's cool to see the different cliques merge and things like that, just like any classic high school movie from the 90s or early 2000s, because anyone who's watched my channel knows I love 90s high school movies. They're some of the best. But what's fun about this one is there's this whole witchcraft element to it, which really makes it really fun because this movie still deals in all the politics of 90s high school. Literally, the witchcraft is a tool. It's the backdrop for this. But at the end of the day, this is still a typical 90s high school drama movie about four girls who are all dealing with their own little issues or whatnot at the school. So these characters in this movie though are great, and they are what make this movie fun. And the crazy thing is these four girls do not feel like they would hang out, but their chemistry really shines through in this. And I gotta say, I love these four ladies together. And crazy enough, Rachel True, the black girl in this movie, she was 20 effing 8 when they shot this. I was like, man, she looked young. She looks like a teenager. It's crazy. But so I guess you could say the lead would be Sarah, Robin Tooney's character, who moves into town. Now, spoiler alert, Robin Tooney actually has witch powers because they were passed down to her from her mother who died. Nancy is kind of the leader of the gang, played by Fairuza Balk, who is a great actress. Loved her in the 90s and early 2000s. Love her in The Water Boy. She's always played those kind of dark, edgy, kind of gothy roles, and she just has that look, man. It's just there for her. And she plays the hell out of this role because she was vicious, she was fun, she was raw. And I love that about her character. And she was willing to stop at nothing to get the things that she wanted. Bonnie, played by Nev Campbell, she's another good character who has her own thing going on. And she's just kind of along for the ride at a certain point. And same thing with Rochelle, who has a really bad thing going on with another character in the movie, and some sweet revenge is had there. But let's talk about what these girls are going through. So you got Sarah, new girl in town, she gets to the school and she becomes friends with these girls. So you got these four girls. She's the fourth leg, and they realize this because they kind of sense it in her because she does do some things that show them like, hey, dude, this girl, I don't know, man, she might be what we need to unlock the powers that we want because these girls are having a hard time unlocking their powers. And so you see them going to witchcraft stores and buying books and doing all these rituals, and it's super fun. If you like that fun witchy stuff, I love it. It's great. My mom back in the day used to have a Ouija board. We used to play with that. I mean, we used to do all kinds of weird stuff, man. But so Sarah ends up liking the star football player and typical thing. And Sarah's a pretty girl, you know. Sarah can definitely pull a guy like this with no question. And for whatever reason though, she just really likes this dude, even though he's a total jerk. And he does some mean things to her and a bunch of other girls. And we learn that he's just a man, you know what. And she wants him though. She does. And it's kind of eating her up inside that she doesn't have him. Nancy, Frieza Bulk's character, she's in a bad living situation with her mother and her stepfather, kind of living in a trailer and living a kind of a life that she doesn't want to live. And that's her ultimate goal. She wants to get out of this situation because all her friends, they live in nice houses, have nice parents, and they got money and stuff. And she's kind of, the poor one, the wrong side of the tracks one. And you got Bonnie, who has been terribly burned on her back and arms, and she doesn't like to show it. And she's very embarrassed by it. Although she's extremely pretty, these burns are really bad, and people make fun of her for them, and people think she's weird for them. And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like even in high school, I was mature enough to not make fun of someone for something like that. I don't know. I just thought it was really rude how they treated her, and she was a nice girl. And Rachel True's character, she's dealing with a bully, and this bully is very racist and says some very racist things to her. And all these girls want what they want. Some of them want revenge, some of them want a person, some of them want money, some of them want vanity things, and they all have their own desires. And that's what makes this movie fun, because as these girls unlock this power, those desires come out. And that's where this whole umbrella of being a teenager and wanting to have the perfect life in high school comes out. And that's what makes this movie fun, because your social status in high school is it's everything. Back then, at least, not so much now. Like, the high school now is nothing like it was. But back in the mid 90s, in 1996, when this movie came out, pre-Scream, man, your social status was everything in high school. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all these other things to get validation from. So where did you get that from? You got that from your peers directly around you. So of course people felt certain type of ways and had desires. And all these girls achieve a level of witchcraft to where they are able to achieve these desires. And that's when the movie gets fun, because these desires kind of put a wedge in between the girls while also pulling them closer together. But it's all centered around Sarah, because none of this is possible without her. And they don't quite seem to understand that. And I don't even think she understands that at first. But it's great when these girls' dreams and desires start to come true. Sarah's guy who she wanted, he is obsessed with her. I mean, to a very dangerous degree. And it's scary. And what this movie shows you is that a lot of times your wants and desires can lead to some bad things, because, I mean, Sarah was almost assaulted by this guy because he was so in love with her because of the spell that she put on him. Nancy, her stepfather has a heart attack and leaves her and her mother a fat sum of money, and they are able to get out of the trailer park. Now, it was only $175,000 in Los Angeles. That ain't going very far. All that money would have been going fast the way they were spending it. But anywho, still, she was able to achieve her desires, and that turned her into a total B word. Like I said, these things can bring out the worst in you or the worst in others. And money only makes you more of what you are. So if you're kind of a jerk already, it's just going to make you more of a jerk. And Bonnie, her skin clears up. And boy, oh boy, that girl's confidence shoots through the roof. She is feeling herself. And I mean, hey, she looks amazing. We're talking about 90s Nev Campbell here. She starts to feel herself. And the people around her start to feel a type of way because of the way that she is acting. And then Rochelle, the sweetest revenge of them all, if you ask me. Rochelle puts a spell on her bully. And this girl's beautiful blonde hair just comes falling out, and her head looks crazy. And at first, she was happy, but then when she saw how it was affecting this girl, it started to affect her too. And the human side of Rochelle came out, because it's hard to watch someone go through something tough, especially when you did it to them. Although I wouldn't have felt bad, because this girl was treating Rochelle very poorly for no reason. Rochelle didn't do anything to this girl. And, I'm sorry, racism can be costly. And we're not going to talk about what that could mean for this current time, but racism can be costly. And you need to treat everyone with respect, regardless of who they are, especially if you don't like this person solely because of the color of their skin. And that's all it was with these two. So I don't know. That one's a tough one to call. But all of this stuff leads to some absolute fun witchcraft, magic craziness, man. And all these things, they go to these girls' head, except for Sarah. Sarah is the one. Sarah is the one who understands that this is not good, guys. What we are doing is messing up the natural flow and order of things, and that can't be disturbed. And, I like that this movie, it kind of glorifies the witchcraft, but it also doesn't, because it shows you on one hand how fun and cool and exciting it can be, but on the other, it shows you the dark side, the negativity, and how it can really negatively impact someone's life. And as you see in the end, it gets real, where Frieza Bulk goes crazy, and she has a crazy showdown with Sarah, a witchcraft battle, and it's absolutely fun. I mean, it's 90s, the editing is terrible, but it's still just a fun time, and you got to take it in with the time period. And these girls go at it, and ultimately Nancy ends up in the nut hut, and she's screaming, I'm flying, and Frieza Bulk's giving an incredible performance in that scene. And it just shows you, like, man, was all of this worth it? It went to really dark extremes with the dark and the light between Sarah and Nancy. And of course the light prevailed, but the dark didn't. Nancy's strapped to a bed getting injections, and it's crazy. And the other two girls were kind of just middlemen in between it all. But it really was this kind of push-pull between Nancy and Sarah, because although these two women were so different on the surface, they were so much alike at the same time. They both had trauma. All four of these girls had trauma. And honestly, they trauma bonded through this witchcraft. That's what happens here. These women bond over their trauma as witchcraft, as the medium to aid them in their bonding. And that's what this is. And this movie can kind of show you how unchecked and untreated trauma can lead to some dark extremes. Now, obviously, usually it doesn't go this way, because how many witchcrafts, how many people do you know that practice witchcraft? How many witches do you actually know? Probably none, or maybe one or two if you actually do. But this movie does show you in a cool way, about how trauma bonding can be. I think Andrew Fleming understands young ladies. He directed a movie I absolutely love called Dick, starring Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams. And it's about Watergate, and it's such a fun movie, but I really think he understands women, especially young women, and how they think. At least he did in the 90s. Who knows if he were to make a movie like this now, if he could keep up with the current times, because he is a little older now. But this is a fun chick movie. This is a fun lady movie, a fun lady high school movie. I think all ages can relate, go back to, think about your friend group and your clique. I know a lot of girls would watch this movie and see what character they relate to the most, which I know me and my boys used to do with certain movies. But this movie's ultimate theme, though, to me, is jealousy. It's jealousy because everyone in this movie was jealous in one way or another. The big point of it being is Nancy was extremely jealous of Sarah because deep down Nancy knew that Sarah was the one and she wanted to be that one. Sarah was a pretty girl. Sarah had a nice house. Sarah had the powers. She had the life Sarah wanted. And she just could not wrap her head around why she has this and I don't. You know, all these girls were jealous in some form or another. You know, Rochelle is jealous of the privileges that her bully is afforded and how she's able to treat her and get away with it. You know, Bonnie is jealous of all these women who don't have to cover their entire backs up and wear jackets all the time because of how bad they look. You know, and even Sarah was jealous of the fact that some of these people had a mother and she didn't. She really had a hard time dealing with that trauma. And so, you know, jealousy is big in this. It's huge. And this is an absolute fun, spooky time Halloween movie to watch this year. And I know I'm a little late, but anybody watching this, I know you've seen it because it's that good. One thing about this movie um, I love the acting. Like I said, I think it was actually pretty cleverly written. I love the uses of witchcraft. I love the set designs. They are amazing. You know, I love the costume designs. They're great. There's a lot to like about this film on more than a story level. And even though some of the effects look a little you know, Robin Tooney, she has a wig on because I'm pretty sure her head was shaved for Empire Records. But she has a wig on, but it looks pretty good. But when she turns it blonde, I mean, you know, the effects aren't that great. But for 96, you know, you roll with it. You roll with the weird snake fingers and all the weird stuff that's in this movie that doesn't look quite great, but it doesn't matter because this movie is magic. This movie has created a legacy. And I think a lot of films have tried to chase what this movie captured back in 1996. I think this was a star-making vehicle, at least for the current times back then, for Fariza Bulk, for Nev Campbell, for Robin Tooney, for Rachel True. They all had significant roles after this movie, whether their careers are big or not. Now, we do have Neve Campbell about to be in Scream 7. Just saw the trailer today or yesterday. But this movie was a great one for the time. And I mean, so much so that they even remade it recently, which I did not watch. I'm not going to lie, because I love this one so much. I don't know. I didn't think I would like it, but maybe I will. Let me know in the comments if it is worth me watching. So, guys, make sure you check out The Craft soon if you haven't seen it in a while. It holds up tremendously. So, I am going to give The Craft an 8 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Craft review. Shout out to Marlon Bellamy for keeping some really good spooky season requests up for this Halloween season. Thank you, buddy. Guys, follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. Make sure you like and subscribe and help me out. Help me hit my goal. I really appreciate you guys for sticking around. Guys, if there's a film or topic you want me to review, just let me know. I will be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.